Imagine this. You're leading the most powerful empire in the world. A plague is killing thousands of your citizens daily. Barbarians are invading your borders. Your closest advisors are plotting against you. You haven't slept in days because the weight of 70 million people depends on your decisions. Now imagine, you're happy, genuinely at peace. Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly where Marcus Aurelius was. And instead of losing his mind, he wrote a daily journal, just for himself, that would become one of the most powerful guides to living well that humanity has ever created. Today we're diving deep into Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, a philosophy so practical, so human, and so brutally honest that it'll completely change how you handle stress, failure, and everything in between. If you want to master your mind and build an unshakable foundation for success, hit that subscribe button. We break down ancient wisdom that actually works in 2026. But first, let's talk about who this guy actually was. Marcus Aurelius lived from 121 to 180 CE. He didn't choose to become emperor. He was adopted by his predecessors and thrust into leadership at age 40. And the timing was absolutely brutal. When he took power, a plague called the Antonine Plague was ravaging the empire, killing thousands daily. The Parthian Empire was threatening the eastern borders. Germanic tribes were invading from the north. The economy was struggling. And behind the scenes, political rivals were constantly scheming to take his throne. Most people would have crumbled. Instead, Marcus did something remarkable. He didn't confide in anyone. He didn't hire a therapist or a life coach. Instead, he created a private journal, raw, unfiltered thoughts that he never intended to publish. He wrote to himself like he was his own mentor. We know this journal today as Meditations, and it's one of the most downloaded books on the internet. Why? Because reading it feels less like ancient philosophy and more like getting advice from a friend who actually understands what you're going through. Here's the mind-bending part. Marcus Aurelius was at the absolute peak of external power. He could do literally anything he wanted, yet he chose to focus inward. He could command armies, but he chose to master his mind first. That's the core of Stoicism, and that's why it's so relevant today. So what actually is Stoicism? Let's break it down. The most powerful idea in all of Stoicism is something called the dichotomy of control. Here's the premise. Everything in the universe falls into two categories: things you control. Your thoughts, your effort, your decisions, your reactions, your values, how you interpret what happens to you. Things you don't control. Other people, the weather, the economy, your health, partially, other people's opinions, whether you succeed or fail. Timing. Literally anything external. Now, this sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Here's where most of us mess up. We spend 90% of our emotional energy on things we can't control. Someone says something rude? We ruminate about it for hours. The stock market crashes? We panic. Our boss doesn't appreciate our work? We feel depressed for days. We're wrestling with things we literally cannot change. It's like trying to control the weather by being angry at it. Marcus Aurelius flipped the script. He realized that his only job was to master what he could control: his thoughts, his effort, and his character. Everything else was noise. Think about it practically. You can't control whether you get hired for a job, but you can control how well you prepare, how you present yourself, and how you handle rejection. You can't control whether people like you, but you can control whether you're honest, kind, and genuine. You can't control the pandemic, but you can control whether you isolate safely, help neighbors, and stay disciplined. This distinction is life-changing because it immediately removes the paralysis from your life. Let's say you're going through a breakup. The old you obsesses. Did I say the wrong thing? Will they come back? What if they're happier without me? What if I never find someone else? All of that is trying to control the uncontrollable. The Stoic approach. I can't control whether they leave. I can't control their feelings or their choices, but I can control how I respond. I can process this with grace. I can use this pain as fuel to grow. I can work on being a better person. I can choose not to waste my energy on things outside my control. And here's the magic. When you stop wasting energy on what you can't control, you have enormous energy left over for what you can control. And that's when real change happens. Marcus wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Not you will find happiness. Not you will find success. Strength. Because when you master this principle, nothing can shake you." But here's where it gets really interesting, because Marcus didn't just theorize about this. He lived it every single day through chaos. And that brings us to his second revolutionary idea. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most profound sentences in human history. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Let that sink in. Not what happens to you, what your thoughts make it. This isn't positive thinking nonsense. This is about the fundamental nature of reality. How your mind shapes reality. Here's how this works. Two people experience the exact same event. A presentation at work doesn't go well. Person A's thoughts. I'm a failure. My boss thinks I'm incompetent. Everyone saw how bad I was. I'll probably get fired. My career is over. I'm never going to succeed. Result? They feel depressed, anxious, and hopeless. They might even sabotage themselves to confirm their belief. The injury is real in their mind, so it becomes real in their life. Person B's thoughts. That didn't go as planned, but I got valuable feedback. I can improve for next time. Everyone messes up sometimes. This is just data, not a judgment of my worth. Result? They feel disappointed maybe, but not defeated. They're energized to get better. The event was neutral. They interpreted it constructively. Same event, different thoughts, completely different realities. The power of reinterpretation. Marcus called this reinterpretation. If you can change how you think about something, you change the entire meaning of the event. Let's go deeper. Your friend cancels plans with you. Default interpretation. They don't value me. I'm not important to them. Maybe they're annoyed with me. Stoic reinterpretation. They have their own challenges right now. This isn't about me. I can be understanding. This is an opportunity to practice compassion. You get rejected by someone you're interested in romantically. Default interpretation. I'm not good enough. I'll never find anyone. I'm unlovable. Stoic reinterpretation. We weren't compatible. That's okay. Now I'm free to find someone who's actually right for me. This is actually a gift. You lose a job. Default interpretation. I'm a failure. I'll never recover. My life is over. Stoic reinterpretation. This job wasn't serving me. I have skills that are valuable elsewhere. This is an opportunity to find something better, aligned with who I am. This isn't about denying pain. It's about not adding unnecessary suffering on top of the pain. The neuroscience angle. Here's what's fascinating. Modern neuroscience actually confirms what Marcus knew 2,000 years ago. Your brain doesn't just record reality like a camera. It interprets reality based on your beliefs, past experiences, and thoughts. Two people can literally see the same situation and their brains create different realities. This is why depressed people see the world as hopeless, anxious people see threat everywhere, and optimistic people see opportunity in everything. They're not delusional. Their brains are actually processing information differently. Marcus understood this intuitively, and he used it as a superpower. Practical application. So, how do you use this? When something bad happens, pause and ask yourself, is this event actually bad? Or am I making it bad with my interpretation? 9 times out of 10, the answer is, you're adding the suffering with your interpretation. Then ask, what's another way I could look at this? You'll be shocked at how many reinterpretations exist. And suddenly, you have options. The power is back in your hands. Marcus Aurelius quote. Marcus wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment, not later, not eventually, any moment." So we've covered control and mindset. Now comes the wildest idea, and the one that will transform how you see obstacles, the revolutionary idea. Most people see obstacles as roadblocks. Problems are things that get in the way of success. Marcus Aurelius saw it completely differently. He wrote one of the most quoted lines in Stoicism: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is mind-blowing. Let me explain what he means. The traditional view. In the traditional view, you want to build a business. The obstacle? Competition, lack of money, harsh market conditions. These prevent you from succeeding. You want to get fit. The obstacle? Lack of time, difficulty, soreness, cravings. These prevent you from getting healthy. You want to write a book. The obstacle? Perfectionism, writer's block, self-doubt. These prevent you from finishing. In this view, life would be easier if obstacles didn't exist. Success would be straightforward if everything went smoothly. The Stoic reframe. But Marcus was saying something different. The obstacle is the path. What if the competition, the difficulty, the resistance, what if those things are actually what you need to become who you want to be? Think about it. Building a business is hard, yes, but that difficulty, it's what separates you from everyone else. People with the same idea fail all the time. But people who navigate the obstacles, who adapt, who stay committed through resistance, they're the ones who succeed. The obstacle made them stronger. Getting fit requires discipline. Yes, but that's the gift. You can't get genuinely fit without developing discipline. The discomfort isn't preventing your fitness, it's creating it. Writing a book requires you to push through self-doubt and perfectionism. That struggle, that's where the art gets better. The obstacle isn't in the way, it is the way. How this changes everything. Here's the psychological shift that happens when you adopt this mindset. When things get hard, you don't see it as a sign to quit. You see it as a sign you're on the right path. The harder it is, the more valuable the outcome will be. This is why Stoics actually want obstacles, because obstacles are growth. Marcus faced literal impossible obstacles: plague killing thousands, barbarian invasions, political backstabbing. Instead of complaining, he saw them as the material for his own development. He wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." The obstacles are what's being thrown into the fire, and you're the fire. You're supposed to transform them into fuel. Practical examples. Let's make this concrete. Obstacle. Your project gets rejected. Growth opportunity. You learn to handle criticism, adapt your approach, become more resilient. Obstacle. You can't afford that expensive course. Growth opportunity. You learn to find free resources, become resourceful, develop creativity and problem solving. Obstacle. Someone betrays your trust. Growth opportunity. You learn to be a better judge of character, set better boundaries, develop wisdom about relationships. Obstacle. You lose your job. Growth opportunity. You discover resilience, rethink your values, potentially find a better path you never would have considered. The obstacle is always the material for growth. Always. The deeper principle. Why did Marcus believe this so deeply? Because he'd seen it proven. When you face a real obstacle and push through it, you come out the other side fundamentally changed. You're stronger, you're smarter, you're more capable. The people who avoid obstacles, they stay small. They never develop the qualities that actually matter. So his message is almost counterintuitive. Don't run from difficulty, run toward it, because that's where you become who you're meant to be. Now, Marcus wasn't saying this is easy, or that it happens automatically. He knew something else that we need to understand: the modern crisis. Here's why Marcus Aurelius is more relevant today than he was 2,000 years ago. We live in an age of unprecedented distraction and anxiety. We have 24/7 access to information about everything that's going wrong in the world: economic collapse, political chaos, climate change, disease. Every awful thing is available on demand. We've outsourced our peace to external circumstances. We think, I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll be at peace when I find the right relationship. I'll feel successful when I have enough money. I'll be satisfied when I'm famous. But external circumstances are always shifting. And you know what happens? We get the job, and we start worrying about keeping it. We get the relationship, and we start worrying about losing it. We get the money, and we find new things to want. The goalpost keeps moving, and we're constantly unsettled. The Stoic solution. Marcus's philosophy offers a radical alternative. What if your peace doesn't depend on getting everything right? What if it depends on developing yourself, no matter what happens? What if the real victory isn't external success, but internal mastery? This is absolutely revolutionary in a world that says, your worth is what you achieve. Who knows you, how much money you have, how you look. Stoicism says, your worth is who you choose to be every single day, regardless of circumstances. And that's liberating. Why it works. Why does this philosophy actually work? Because it removes the victim mentality. You're not waiting for the world to cooperate. You're not hoping for lucky breaks. You're not dependent on others treating you well. Instead, you own your power right now with no prerequisites. You don't have to wait for circumstances to change to start living by your values. You don't have to wait for permission to become who you want to be. You don't have to wait for the world to be fairer. You can start today, right now, by controlling what you can control. Final call to action. That's the power of Marcus Aurelius. And that's why his 2,000-year-old journal still speaks to millions of people. He figured out something most people spend their entire lives missing. The only thing you ever needed to master was your... Let's recap what we covered. 1. The dichotomy of control. You control your thoughts, effort, and reactions. You don't control external outcomes. Focus 100% on what's in your control. 2. Mindset is reality. How you interpret events creates your actual experience. You have the power to reinterpret at any moment. 3. Obstacles are fuel. Difficulty isn't preventing your growth. It's creating it. The impediment advances action. Marcus Aurelius lived these principles while managing the most powerful empire in the world, and they kept him sane, grounded, and at peace. If they worked for him, they can work for you. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think of something you're stressed about today. A relationship, a project, a fear about the future. Ask yourself, is this in my control or outside my control? If it's outside your control, let it go. Stop wasting energy. If it's in your control, focus. What's one action you can take today? Do that one thing. That's how change actually happens. Marcus Aurelius never expected his personal journal to change the world. But it did. Because the truth is timeless. If this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. We break down ancient philosophy that actually applies to 2026. And drop a comment below. What obstacle are you turning into fuel right now? Thanks for watching. And remember, you have more power than you think.